Hey there. Ever thought about taking a family vacation to a bat cave? Probably not your first choice.
Right.
But today's deep dive is all about proving that bats are seriously cool and that sometimes the most unexpected adventures lead to the most amazing discoveries.
You know what's fascinating here is that we often think about mentorship as something that happens in a formal setting. But this deep dive shows us that it can happen anywhere,
Yeah,
even in a bat cave in Cuba.
right. We're taking a deep dive into a blog by Dr. Zeman, a scientist who decided to take his kids on an expedition to Cuba with a group of bat conservationists.
Yeah.
Talk about hands-on learning.
And it highlights something really important. The power of exposing kids to positive role models. Dr. Zeman talks about how crucial it was for him to surround his children with people who embody curiosity, resilience, and a passion for knowledge.
Yeah, he really wanted to show them that learning can be an adventure and that there are incredible people out there doing fascinating work. And what's more adventurous than exploring caves with bat scientists?
Exactly. He stumbled upon Merlin Tuttle's Bat Conservation, that's MTBC, while searching for ways to connect his kids with inspiring figures. And their motto really resonated with him: winning friends, not battles, when it comes to bat conservation.
It's a refreshing approach, isn't it? Instead of focusing on the negative perceptions surrounding bats,
Yeah.
they're all about education and understanding.
And that really resonated with Dr. Zeman. In fact, he was so impressed with MTBC that he arranged for some of their scientists to do a virtual presentation for his kids' elementary school class back in British Columbia.
That's dedication.
Mm.
It speaks volumes about his commitment to instilling those values in his children. He saw an opportunity to spark their curiosity and connect them with real-life scientists.
And that was just the beginning. Get this, he then takes his kids, Riker and Alexandria, on an actual expedition to Cuba with the MTBC team.
Wow, he went from a virtual classroom visit to a real-life bat adventure in Cuba. It really shows how dedicated he was to giving his kids those hands-on learning experiences.
Talk about putting your money where your mouth is. And it sounds like they got more than they bargained for. Their first day involved a jungle trek that was way longer than expected because the van couldn't get through the muddy roads.
Ah, the unpredictability of field work. But think about it. Those unexpected challenges could be incredible learning opportunities. It's all about adapting and problem solving on the fly.
Yeah.
How did they handle it?
Well, it sounds like Riker wasn't exactly thrilled about the long hike, especially since his dad had forgotten to pack long-sleeve shirts to protect them from insects.
Oh no, that's the worst. Being resourceful is key in those situations. You've got to make do with what you have.
Exactly. Dr. Zeman ended up giving Riker and Alexandria his own shirts, which they had to wear buttoned up like giant pirate outfits.
That's hilarious. I can picture it now. But you know, this is where it gets really interesting.
I'm all ears. What happened next?
Dr. Zeman talks about this being a real threshold moment for him. He was worried about letting the MTBC team down and whether his kids would be up for the challenge. It was a real test of his whole philosophy of pushing them to embrace adventure and learn from experts.
Those moments of doubt are so relatable, especially when you're responsible for young children in a new environment. You want them to have fun and be open to new experiences, but you also want them to be safe and comfortable. So how did it play out?
This is where the MTBC team's dedication to mentorship really shines through Teresa Nicta, who Dr. Zeman had met at a museum exhibit about bats. Notice that Riker was struggling and stepped in to offer support.
That's the mark of a true mentor, right? Recognizing when someone needs a little extra guidance and offering it without judgment.
Absolutely. She didn't dismiss Riker's feelings or tell him to toughen up. Instead, she listened empathetically and validated his experience, which made all the difference.
Validation is so powerful, especially for a child facing a challenge. It allows them to feel seen and heard, which can boost their confidence and help them persevere.
And that's exactly what happened. With Teresa's encouragement, Riker put on his helmet, equipped with his trusty GoPro, of course,
Yeah.
and tackled that jungle trek.
I love that. He faced his fear head on, and I bet the feeling of accomplishment was incredible. It's a powerful reminder of the impact a supportive mentor can have on building resilience.
Totally. And it sounds like that supportive, encouraging vibe continued throughout the entire trip.
That's wonderful to hear. What were some of the highlights?
Well, Dr. Zeman emphasizes how the MTBC team, including Melissa Donnelly, consistently went out of their way to engage with Riker and Alexandria. They pointed out interesting insects, explained their ecological roles, and basically turned the whole experience into a giant, hands-on biology lesson.
It's amazing how seamlessly they integrated education into the expedition. It speaks to their passion for both science and mentorship. They weren't just there to do their research, they were genuinely invested in sharing their knowledge and inspiring the next generation of scientists.
Absolutely. And they didn't shy away from the ickier aspects of nature either. Apparently, there were some pretty up-close encounters with frogs, tarantulas, and even a boa constrictor.
Wow, talk about getting up close and personal with nature. I'm curious, how did the kids react to those encounters?
Dr. Zeman says it was a totally different experience than what they were used to back home in Canada. He said the frogs in Cuba were surprisingly bold, hopping right onto the kids.
That's hilarious. It highlights how different cultures perceive and interact with wildlife.
Definitely. And it sounds like Riker and Alexandria embraced it all, even the creepy crawlies. Dr. Zeman mentioned that Alexandria became fascinated with photographing insects and even the boa constrictor.
That's amazing. It's incredible how these experiences can ignite a passion for science and exploration in young minds.
It really is. And remember how Dr. Zeman talked about wanting to foster a pod of dolphins family dynamic, where everyone moves together and supports each other?
Yes, it's such a beautiful analogy for the kind of interconnectedness and shared purpose he envisioned.
Well, it sounds like that's exactly the kind of environment that the MTBC team cultivated. He describes feeling a strong sense of belonging and support within the group, and how everyone from the scientists to the local Cuban families who hosted them contributed to that positive atmosphere.
That's what it's all about. It's a reminder that learning and growth often thrive in environments characterized by collaboration, inclusivity, and a sense of community.
You hit the nail on the head. But it wasn't just about creating a feel-good experience. The MTBC team was serious about their scientific work, and they made sure to give Riker and Alexandria a front-row seat to the action.
No, that's what I call a dream trip. What kind of research activities did the kids get to witness?
One standout moment involved bat netting.
Bat netting. That sounds intriguing.
It is. It's a method scientists use to safely capture bats for research. They set up fine mist nets that the bats fly into, and then they carefully extract them to take measurements, collect samples, and gather data on their health and population.
It makes sense. To protect a species, you have to understand it, and that requires data.
Exactly. And it sounds like Riker was right there in the thick of it, capturing the whole process on his video camera.
What a fantastic opportunity for him to see firsthand what scientific fieldwork entails. It's one thing to learn about it in a textbook, but it's a whole other thing to experience it in action.
Absolutely. And for Alexandria, there's a particularly special moment.
Oh, tell me more.
She got to hold a bat.
Wow, what an incredible experience. I bet she was over the moon.
She was. Of course, it was all done under the careful supervision of Melissa, with appropriate safety precautions and vaccinations in place.
Of course, safety first. It's heartwarming that they took the time to create such a special and safe experience for her.
Absolutely.
Oh.
And Riker was right there capturing the moment on video. Those are memories they'll treasure forever.
No doubt. It's amazing how impactful these hands-on experiences can be. It's not just about memorizing facts. It's about fostering a sense of wonder, curiosity, and connection to the natural world.
Couldn't agree more. But beyond the bats themselves, there was another aspect of the trip that really struck me: the cultural exchange.
You're right. It wasn't just about the science. It was about immersing themselves in a different culture. Tell me more about that.
Remember how Dr. Zeman mentioned that they were welcomed into the homes of local Cuban families who were supporting Cuba?
Yes, he talked about feeling such a strong sense of community.
Right. So during their downtime from bat research, Riker and Alexandria got to spend time with Cuban children their own age. They played games, shared meals, and even tried to bridge the language barrier.
That's incredible. It's a reminder that learning and connection can happen in the most unexpected places, transcending language and cultural differences.
Exactly. And it sounds like the kids were eager to connect. Dr. Zeman mentions this funny story about how one of the Cuban children brought out a smartphone with the Duolingo app, and they all started trying to learn each other's languages. It's amazing how quickly those barriers can be broken down when there's a shared desire to connect.
It really speaks to the power of human connection and the universality of curiosity. No matter where we're from or what language we speak, we all share a desire to learn and connect with others.
Absolutely. But it wasn't all fun and games. Dr. Zeman also reflects on the impact this trip had on his kids in a deeper, more personal way.
I'm curious to hear his reflections. What kind of lasting impact did this experience have on his children?
Well, he talks about how on the flight home, he had the chance to really talk to Riker and Alexandria about everything they had experienced. He helped them to process those feelings of accomplishment, of overcoming challenges, facing their fears, and realizing they could do hard things they never thought possible.
That's so important. It's one thing to have an experience, but it's another thing entirely to process and integrate that experience in a way that leads to real growth.
Exactly. And it sounds like those lessons really stuck with them. Dr. Zeman mentions that both kids seemed more confident and took more initiative in pursuing their interests after the trip.
That's amazing. It's a testament to the transformative power of hands-on learning and the ripple effect it can have on other areas of their lives.
Absolutely. And they didn't just bring back memories, they brought back inspiration, too.
Intriguing. How so?
Well, Dr. Zeman shares this adorable anecdote about how Riker's teacher showed him a drawing that Riker had made at school. It was a picture of a bat flying over a landscape.
Oh, that's sweet. It's amazing how these experiences can find their way into a child's creative expression.
Right. The experience clearly had a profound impact on him. And it wasn't just Riker who was inspired. Dr. Zeman says Alexandria developed a real love for adventure and physical challenges after the trip.
I'm not surprised. She faced those muddy trails head-on and came out stronger on the other side.
Exactly. And her thirst for knowledge is truly inspiring. Dr. Zeman mentioned that she often talks about a story Merlin Tuttle told her about capturing an anaconda when he was younger.
You know, it makes you realize the impact a good story can have. It's especially when it comes from someone as experienced and passionate as Merlin Tuttle.
Absolutely. Speaking of stories and passions, remember how the kids connected with those Cuban children over Duolingo? Well, Dr. Zeman says they're both still learning Spanish on their own.
That's fantastic. A single experience can spark a lifelong love of learning. Who knows, maybe they'll both become fluent in Spanish and go on to explore more of Latin America, even conduct their own research someday.
Now, wouldn't that be something? It's incredible to see how this trip has inspired them. But it wasn't just the kids who were impacted by this experience.
Oh. I'm curious to hear how this experience affected Dr. Zeman personally.
He admits that before the trip, he was feeling a bit lost, a bit directionless.
That's understandable. Parenting can be incredibly rewarding, but also incredibly demanding. It's easy to lose sight of your own passions and sense of purpose amidst the chaos of daily life.
Absolutely. But he says that this experience, this deep dive into mentorship and adventure with his kids, gave him a renewed sense of direction, a clearer vision for the kind of life he wants for himself and his family, a life filled with exploration, learning, and connection.
That's so powerful. It's a reminder that sometimes the most profound personal growth happens when we least expect it, often through our interactions with our children.
Couldn't agree more. And he's not wasting any time putting those realizations into action.
Oh, tell me more.
Well, for starters, he's noticed an interest in bat conservation in his own community, back in the Cowichan Valley. It turns out that local organic farmers are keen on building bat houses to help with pest control.
That's a fantastic initiative. It's a great example of how bat conservation can have tangible benefits for both the environment and local communities.
Exactly. And Dr. Deviaman is eager to get involved. He sees it as a chance to continue the learning journey he started with his kids, but this time he can share it with his community.
That's wonderful. He's paying it forward, spreading that passion for knowledge and conservation. It's a testament to his commitment to making a difference in his children's lives and his community.
Absolutely. And there's more. He's also found a group of like-minded dads who are equally passionate about creating enriching experiences for their children. They're all about embracing adventure, fostering a sense of belonging, and surrounding their kids with positive role models.
You know, it's incredible how these shared passions can bring people together. It's a reminder of the power of community and the importance of surrounding ourselves with people who share our values.
Couldn't agree more. Dr. Zeman sums it up perfectly when he talks about wanting to maintain that pod of dolphins feeling, that sense of moving together, supporting each other, and navigating life's challenges as a united front.
What a powerful image. It really speaks to the heart of what it means to be part of a supportive and loving community. But how does that pod of dolphins concept play out practically in their family life?
That's a great question. And, Dr. Zeman doesn't explicitly lay out a step-by-step guide. Instead, he focuses on the feeling, the intention behind it.
Okay.
It's less about prescribed activities and more about creating an environment where everyone feels seen, heard, and supported in pursuing their passions.
So it's about fostering that sense of adventure and exploration as a family unit.
Exactly. And it sounds like he's well on his way to making it a reality, but his journey doesn't end there.
It sounds like there's more to come. What hints did he drop?
He teases us with hints about a larger journey. He's even suggesting he might share it in another venue. What do you make of that?
It's like he's planting seeds of possibility, both for himself and for us as listeners. It makes you wonder what direction this new chapter will take. Will it be another travel adventure? A deep dive into a new scientific field? Or perhaps something more personal focused on building community and connection?
It really sparks your curiosity, doesn't it? It seems like this bat-filled adventure was just one piece of a much larger puzzle, a catalyst for personal growth and a renewed sense of purpose.
And it makes you think about those seeds of possibility in our own lives. Those moments where we stumble upon a new interest, a new passion, a new way of seeing the world. What will we do with those seeds? Will we nurture them? Allow them to take root and grow into something amazing?
The powerful question to ponder. But before we get too lost in our own metaphorical gardens, let's shift gears for a moment and talk about the real stars of this deep dive, the bats.
You're right. Dr. Zeman's story is fascinating, but it's also a reminder of the incredible creatures that often get overlooked or misunderstood.
Exactly. So for those of us who might not be ready to book a one-way ticket to a bat cave, what are some ways we can support bat conservation in our own backyards?
Well, for starters, we can educate ourselves. The more we understand about bats, their ecological importance, the threats they face, the simple things we can do to help, the more likely we are to take action.
Knowledge is power.
Right.
Right. So brushing up on our bat facts is a good place to start. Any other suggestions?
Absolutely. Supporting organizations like Merlin Tuttle's Bat Conservation MTBC is a fantastic way to get involved. They're doing incredible work, educating the public, conducting research, and advocating for bat conservation efforts worldwide.
It's inspiring to see how a shared passion can fuel such impactful work. And it all circles back to that idea of mentorship, of inspiring others to care about something as much as you do.
It's contagious, isn't it? That enthusiasm, that drive to make a difference. And it makes perfect sense. Bats often get a bad rap. We associate them with spooky stories or even diseases. But the truth is,
they're essential to the health of our planet. They pollinate plants, they disperse seeds, they help keep insect populations in check. They're like nature's pest control.
and let's not forget their role in helping us understand things like echolocation and sonar technology.
It's incredible, isn't it? These creatures that we often fear or misunderstand are actually making significant contributions to our world.
It really highlights how important it is to look beyond the surface, to challenge our assumptions, and to approach the world with a sense of curiosity and wonder.
Well said. This deep dive has been eye-opening in so many ways. Any final thoughts for our listeners before we wrap up?
What sticks with me is the reminder that learning and mentorship are lifelong journeys. Whether we're exploring the depths of a rainforest or simply taking the time to notice the bats flitting through our own neighborhoods, there's always something new to discover and appreciate.
Beautifully said. So let's keep that curiosity alive. Embrace those aha moments and never stop exploring the wonders of our world, both big and small. Until next time.